Which iPhone should I get? That's typically the question we all ask ourselves every Apple event when the new iPhone comes out. This year, it's between the iPhone 16 and the iPhone 16 Pro. I'm not going to consider the Plus or the Pro Max because I'm not a big fan of big phones. Like, I filmed a lot with the iPhone 15 Pro Max this year, but I hate this size. Bring back the iPhone 13 mini, Apple. The phone should be small, man. But I wanted to make a simple video, a buying guide, if you will, to help you decide which iPhone you should get, either the iPhone 16 or the iPhone 16 Pro. All right, got my notes over here, got my chicken scratches. I got details for the iPhone 16 and the 16 Pro. But first up, let's talk about the iPhone 16. Now, in a nutshell, the iPhone 16 I feel is for people who just want to upgrade their current phone. Maybe you have a phone that you're not really happy with the quality of photos that you're taking, or maybe you have a phone where the battery life isn't so good. Like you just want a simple phone that takes really good photos. The iPhone 16 is it. I mean, you can get the iPhone 15 or even the iPhone SE. Really, it depends on what phone you currently have. But if you were to upgrade this year, the iPhone 16 is it. Here's why. First of all, the iPhone 16 has a 48 megapixel Fusion camera, where essentially what it does is it takes two photos. It takes one 48 megapixel photo that focuses on the details, and then one 12 megapixel photo that focuses on capturing the light details. I don't know, I can't say words. But it combines those two images together to give you a high resolution 24 megapixel photo. That's kind of genius. And then it has two other cameras that you can use, a 2x telephoto lens that shoots 12 megapixel photos, as well as an ultra wide camera that captures 12 megapixel photos. 12 megapixels is fine, that's like the base standard for phone photography, I guess. But where the new iPhones really shine is this new camera control button. This thing looks really cool because not only can you use it to turn on your camera and take a photo, but you can use it to change your aperture settings, whether you want to shoot everything in focus or have that blurry background and shoot at a low aperture. But in addition to that, you can use the camera control button to use Apple Intelligence, specifically visual intelligence, where you can take a picture of a restaurant or a product and your phone will give you more information based on that photo. Yay, AI, take over our lives. When it comes to video, it films 4K up to 60 frames per second. I don't think it films ProRes or log. They didn't really mention it, so I don't think it's possible, but it can film 4K in cinematic mode, so that's cool. Essentially, when it comes to video, it's very similar to the iPhone 15 Pros. And then a few more features that are really cool with the iPhone 16s. It's got a pretty bright display, up to 2000 nits, so that's great. Has an action button, which you can assign whatever feature you want, and it comes in two sizes. For the iPhone 16, comes in at 6.1 inches, and for the iPhone 16 Plus, it comes in at 6.7 inches, and that to me is way too big. I will never understand why people want big phones. Doesn't make sense. Now moving on to the iPhone 16 Pro. In a nutshell, the iPhone 16 Pro seems to be made for people like me, content creators, solo filmmakers, and photographers, basically creatives who want to use their phone more creatively and more professionally. Now, even though I'm not a big fan of the iPhone 15 Pro Max, I did use this phone a lot this year to film B-roll content, to take thumbnail photos for my YouTube videos. I definitely use this phone a lot for a lot of reels and TikToks because it's just easier to do it with a phone. The 16 Pro seems to double down on that, which is why I plan on getting the 16 Pro. All right, let's talk about some fun details with the 16 Pro. Both the Pro and Pro Max have the Pro Motion display up to 120 Hertz. It's got a new titanium grade 5 body, which I guess is half the weight of stainless steel and tougher. It's got 4 colors to choose from: black titanium, white titanium, natural titanium, and desert titanium. Of course, it's got the A18 Pro chip. It's got the 48 megapixel Fusion camera, but for the ultra wide camera, it's not 12 megapixels, it's 48 megapixels. That alone is worth getting the 16 Pro over the 16. Like, I didn't use the ultra-wide camera on my 15 Pro Max all that often because I didn't really like how the photos turned out. Like, I mainly used the 1X camera on the Pro Max, but with a 48 megapixel ultra-wide camera, whoo, man, that's gonna be fun. The 5X telephoto lens is still a 12 megapixel camera. Okay, I could deal with that. But with a camera control button on the 16 Pro and Pro Max, it seems like the transition between the ultra wide all the way to the telephoto seems to be smoother. We'll see, because I hate the transition from ultra wide to the 1X to the 5x. Like, it does this weird jump going from one camera to the other, and I really don't like that. So hopefully they've fixed all that with the 16 Pro. Speaking of the camera control button on the 16 Pro, there's this two-stage shutter feature that is kind of similar when you half press the shutter button on an actual camera, where it locks focus on a subject as well as the exposure when you're taking a photo. That is pretty cool. I think I'm gonna like that. And just like the 16, the camera control can also change the aperture, your exposure, change lenses, as well as photographic styles. Now with photographic styles, the camera now can analyze skin tones better, and then the overall tonality of the scene that you're trying to capture, resulting in better photos. But what I'm actually most excited about with the photographic style is this really cool control pad where you can control the tones of an image, similar to color grading, but on a phone. Like, you're not just putting on a filter where it's just one shade that covers all the highlights, midtones, and shadows, but it seems like you have more professional options to give you better creative control of your image. Cannot wait to test that out, but even more so, the video features on the 16 Pro. Oh man, here we go. We got 4K 120. 4K 120 in a phone that you can record in Apple ProRes and log to an SSD. I don't know about internally, we'll find out, but 4K 120. And then you can play back that footage whether you want to watch it in 120 frames per second or 60 frames per second or down to 30 or even down to 24 frames per second right there within the Photos app. And I know it might seem like, well, it's a new phone, it's gonna have better video features, of course, but this past year I have filmed a lot with my iPhone 15 Pro Max. Like, I've used this phone a lot to film B-roll of myself. I use this phone a lot to capture photos, especially when I'm making thumbnails for my YouTube videos. Like, I actually use this phone quite a lot, and if the 16 Pro can give me more creative control over the photos that I take or the videos that I film, then that's only gonna speed up my entire workflow, especially if it's for content for social media only. Like, if I can, I try to use my Sony cameras to film social media content because, you know, Sony cameras are better, but then I have to import the footage and I gotta edit the footage, put music to it, and then airdrop that footage to my phone, then post to social media. Like, that's a lot of steps. And so if I can bypass some of those steps with the features on the 16 Pro, I will be filming a lot more with an iPhone this year. And then you got some really cool audio features with the 16 Pro. There's like 4 studio quality mics, but the Audio Mix Studio feature, where it seems to capture vocals as if you are recording them in a studio, like it isolates the voice almost perfectly. I don't know, I'm gonna have to test that out.
Say people off camera are talking during the capture.
No, it's your grandma's bundt cake.
Pancakes times 2.
Yeah, okay, that's very funny. All right.
Enjoy.
The in-frame mix isolates the voice of the person on camera so you don't lose that
Is that what I
perfect
think it
take.
is?
No, it's your grandma's bundt cake.
Yeah, okay, that's very funny. All right.
How does that work from a phone? I don't know, it's so many things to test out on this phone. But then going back to the use cases, the realistic use cases as a solo content creator, a solo filmmaker, and solo photographer, if I can do voiceovers by just using that Audio Mix Studio feature, like, that really is a game changer. Because sometimes when I make a reel or TikTok and I'm talking on the phone, showing a camera or whatever product I have, like, oftentimes the vocals coming from the phone sound pretty bad. But if that's improved significantly on the 16 Pro, man, that's gonna be nice. And that's pretty much it, all the things that I found very interesting. I know there's a ton more features for both the 16 and the 16 Pro that I haven't mentioned at all. And so if there are any features that stand out to you, then please let me know in the comments below. But to sum up everything, if you are looking just to upgrade your phone or just want a phone that has some really good camera capabilities, a phone that kind of emulates what a mirrorless camera can do, then I would go with the iPhone 16. Like, I feel like that camera should suffice for 90% of people out there. But for those of you that want something a little bit more, creatives like me who kind of film everything by themselves and maybe want to use the 16 Pro as a B-roll camera, maybe to take thumbnail photos for their YouTube videos, maybe a device that you can capture voiceovers. If you want to use your phone a bit more professionally, then I would check out the iPhone 16 Pro, which is the phone that I'm going to get.